Hello again, everyone. This is Arjo Carino Turner of ACT International Consulting, LLC, based here in Atlanta. So, for the month of April, ACT Leadership Speaker Series, we're going to focus on the overseas Filipino workers in Georgia, a new foundation that's been founded by a dear friend of mine. But before I'm gonna introduce her, I would wanted to share first kung ano yung ACT International Leadership Speaker Series. So I've been doing this. This is the second year na actually. And of course, our connectivity is that we are from the Philippines, now moved here in the USA, and we are still trying to at least do something. Oh, okay, it's Leadership Speakers Series 2026 na, not 2025. So the purpose of this is to highlight accomplished leaders driving a community development and people empowerment through monthly interviews. And again, it's a year-long initiative, annual, that inspires action, share best practices, and equip audiences with practical insights to foster collaboration and create meaningful impact. Specifically, the target audience is Filipinos, Filipino Americans, Filipinos in diaspora, and of course, global, citizens who are also interested and passionate about the common goals of this initiative. So for this leadership speaker series, our objective is to inspire action, highlight best practices, and foster collaboration, empower communities, and of course, celebrate leadership. So for today, she was a speaker of mine last year, specific to her journey as a Filipino immigrant to the USA as a community leader. So that was a separate interview. If you're interested of that, I can send the specific link to know more about the background of Miss Jane. For this particular interview, it is about sharing one of her passions. And it's a very recent one. It's a very unique one because she became the founding chair of the OFW Georgia Foundation, Inc., or the Overseas Filipino Workers in Georgia Foundation. So the title of this specific interview is Leading with Purpose, Building Stronger Communities for Overseas Filipino Workers in Georgia, USA, and of course, even beyond, right? So we're gonna learn more about this from Miss Jane. Miss Jane, it is my pleasure again to welcome you and for a very interesting topic that we've talked about in the middle of the night and, and good chat and everything. So, briefly share who you are and what is this specific organization is all about. The newest one among the so many Filipino American organizations in the state of Georgia.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Arjo, for having me once again. This is a very good platform to inform the world about what the Filipino community is up to in Georgia. So, the OFW Georgia Foundation was created on it was launched on April 12th, but it was actually registered in February. I can't remember the date exactly, but it's in the Secretary of State. So this was launched by the first three board members, myself, Sarita Taylor, and Christelle Silang. And how this came about was many years ago when my family in the Philippines, in Nueva Vizcaya, were dealing with problems of overseas Filipino workers in the Middle East. And that's been in my mind for a while now. There's been so many horror stories. So during the past few years that I was in Georgia, I have heard several stories about the overseas Filipino workers here, or the immigrants or the migrant workers, that the community has come together to help. However, the thing that has been bugging me is that every time there is a crisis about Filipino workers or migrant workers or any other Filipino, we always scramble around to find resources to help. We will always help, but there is nothing stagnant. There's nothing formed. There's nothing there that they can run to. It's almost like, okay, reaching out anywhere that they can get help. So this last year, I was fortunate enough to interview a couple, actually three Filipino workers in Georgia.
Uh-huh.
And they gave their personal stories, the challenges and how they overcame it. So the kind of more, it was bugging me still that there's no really set help for this,
Mm-hmm.
for our kababayans who are working here. And uh, actually they are our current um, warriors. They are our heroes. They're current heroes, because, and I have mentioned this several times, they are the lifeline of the Philippine economy.
Mm-hmm.
Just last year, their remittances to the Philippines went up to 60, no, 86.3 US billion dollars.
Uh-huh.
And that is only in remittances. If you add the balikbayan boxes, all the non-monetary remittances, that amount goes up to 89.6 US billion dollars. So you can see how much they're helping not only their families but the Philippine economy itself. So it's kind of unfair that they're not able to come out and reach out, and they don't know where to go when
Yeah.
they're in when they have problems.
So that historical background is part of the inception.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you are also very active in supporting the Philippine Honorary Consulate Office that have also engaged you and or exposed you with similar situations, especially on Filipinos and their, in the immigration related side. So from your heart that you are passionate about it, and then having been exposed to so many Filipino organizations. So, what made you think that this is a niche that we need to tap into because there's none that addresses this? And what was the initial kind of like feedback from those that you've tried to reach out? And also, who were the people that really stepped up that, yes, this can be done? And that also empowered you to propel, yes, I'm going to take a lead on this.
Well, like I said, it started when I started interviewing the OFWs from Buckhead.
And that is, we'll have to clarify. And when you say interviewing, it is your role as a podcaster with the Georgia
Georgia
Asian
with
Times,
Usapang
Usapang
Pinoy,
Pinoy Georgia
powered
Asian
by
Times.
Georgia Asian Times. So when
Yes.
that happened, I did not realize, and somebody told me that there's a lot of them in Buckhead as
Uh-huh.
nannies, housekeepers. They have been here for a long time, and I've never met them. A
Uh-huh.
lot of people in the community don't know that they exist. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we started becoming friends, because they've got beautiful souls. They're very warm. They're very, the typical Filipino, from back home, that they're still like kind of always pleasant, always respectful. And there's a group that I didn't know, a huge group in Buckhead. And then see, people think that when you say overseas Filipino workers, they kind of box them up into the nannies and housekeepers.
Yeah.
No, because overseas Filipino workers can also include the healthcare workers,
Yeah.
the hospitality workers in hotels, um,
Teachers,
engineers, teachers. So it's a
IT
misconception,
professionals.
right? So now we have, when we launch OFW Georgia, we have the different membership types, such as, of course, we call them the professionals, household professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have we call them domestic care professionals. Then we have those include the caregivers, nannies, housekeepers, personal aides,
Mm-hmm.
private household staff. Then we have the technology and IT professionals, and that includes the software engineers, data analysts, cybersecurity specialists, IT support professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the healthcare professionals and medical providers, and then we have the hospitality providers. So
Educators
there's
too.
different kinds.
Yeah.
So either, and it comes in different. You have the H-1B visa, J1 or J2 visa. I'm not really very familiar with them, but if you have a working visa, whether you're a nanny or not, you are an overseas
Mm-hmm.
Filipino worker. You might be an OFW 10 years ago, but now
Mm-hmm.
you're a citizen, but you're still working. You're an immigrant worker still in our minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
So
how we
that's
kind of
how it
group
got
them together.
started. Now, I wanted you to share more about specifically on the mission and or vision of the organization. So I'm having a flyer in here that it says creating a global community where every overseas Filipino worker feels supported and empowered through support services and sustainable growth programs.
Yes,
So,
as you said, our mission is to empower and protect overseas Filipino workers and Filipino immigrant workers through
mhm,
education, advocacy, emergency support, and cultural connection.
mhm,
Our vision is to see a future where overseas Filipino workers are informed,
mhm,
protected, valued, and supported no matter where they work or live. And our core values are dignity and respect, cultural pride, integrity and accountability, compassion in action,
mhm.
and community solidarity.
Yeah. And these two other women that were here alongside with you share so much this organizational foundation and thoughts. How quick was it, or how long was it from the inception to putting into action to registering the organization to making sure I'm sure you have tapped a whole lot of other resources to get to know insights and specific. And I think this particular photo was during the press announcement. Again, Georgia Asian Times is a big help to get this moving. What
Yeah,
are the
it's
backgrounds of these two other individuals?
so Sarita. She is a professor. She teaches English as a second language. She's also a realtor. Prior to that, she has a lot of passion for helping immigrants. And
Mhm,
she belongs to this church, International Bible Church. She was helping with the immigrants for a long time. So
mhm,
she knows she has the compassion to help those who are in need because she has helped refugees for a long time. And she knows the group of Filipino workers in Baqued in other locations. So
mhm,
she was more than, and I didn't know this at first when we became friends, but when I started mentioning this, she was just in it. I like jumped in it immediately because that's where her heart is. She's
mhm,
been doing this even before we talked about overseas Filipino workers. Christelle, on the other hand, is was also my guest in the podcast until
mhm,
I found out her background. And when she talked about her parents or her father and uncles were OFWs, and when I mentioned it to her, she said, "I was an OFW myself, and I would like to help." So well, actually, I was the one who asked her first after after we found out her background. Then she was more than willing to help, and she's an asset. She's
mhm.
precious to this organization.
Yeah. Cristel and I have a similar background. We both graduated from the University of the Philippines at Los Baños, and I'm so honored to meet her during the specific launch. And this particular photo, she received a particular recognition and or community award. Can you tell more about so that we can lift up her community engagement beyond the Phil-Am community?
Now, she is the only Filipino, only Asian actually, in this leadership program for Atlanta, this Hands on Atlanta.
Mhm,
And they have a cohort of, I think, I'm not very sure of the number of students there, but there's probably about 30 of them, and from different walks of life, from different nationalities. But she's the only Asian there. But she took the lead, as in I attended the graduation and I was so proud because with those 30 students, there were only two who gave speeches, and one of them is her, and she's the top. And she gave a
mhm,
very powerful, very inspiring speech. So I was really proud of her. The other thing too is that among all the cohort, she had two awards. Like she had the most support, and she also raised a lot of money for Hands on Atlanta.
mhm. Awesome. And it's good to see like how different faces of PhilAm actually community leaders that are not necessarily in leadership position in any PhilAm
Mhm.
organization per se. So it doesn't mean that you have to be limited in your own community to be a community like leader. So it is great to see that. Now you have registered the organization. You've chosen the name, very, 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 very specific. You have asked a lot of advices from experts on this topic, and you put your mission into action. Now, you did launching recently about the overseas Filipino global workers, and share more about this because there's so much lots of photos. But all I can say is that your distinctive observation with respect to the diversity of the stakeholders, where they're coming from, and were you happy of the turnout given a very limited human resource organizing it and not even having the funds in place yet.
Um, it's amazing that the support and the results. We were just kind of hoping that to see a few people, as long as there's few people there. But from the time we registered it in February, and then I think we started planning it in March. It only took 3 weeks for us from the time we met to launching date. 3 weeks, and there's only three of us. And by the time a week before the launch date, Sarita had to fly to San Francisco. So it was just Crystal and myself. So, of course, before Sarita left, Sarita and I went to do the ocular inspection of the area. And we were actually using our own personal resources, money for the picnic and for the launch. Of course, Georgia Asian Times has helped us with the registration and other stuff. So what surprised us the most is that the positive, enormous positive response from the community. Like, not only were the folks from Atlanta, but we had guests from Warner Robins,
I
some from
know.
Athens, from all over the place. Like
Yeah.
Linda Joy, the guy in blue, he is the head of Kapit Bisig in Warner Robins. He came, and that's 2 hours drive. And the teachers, now
Yeah.
they are forming a new teachers organization, and we are helping them do that as well. And they came, and then my but here's a beautiful story that happened during the picnic. There is a couple who just arrived 3 days prior to the launch, and
Mm-hmm.
they saw this in Atlanta, Pinoy. They saw the announcement. They decided to come. They had no cars. They didn't know anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They took the Uber to come to
Uh-huh.
the picnic and introduce themselves, the husband and wife, and and their child. So
Uh-huh.
they got to circulate around and was introduced to the restaurant owners of Kamayan.
Mm.
So immediately, and I might as well say it because it's an open, the husband got hired. And that was so
Oh.
beautiful. It's like he's about to start the following week. It's like, oh my
Uh-huh.
God, just us putting this together, it already has a
Mm-hmm.
positive effect. Number two, so this family
This is
met
So
my,
speaking of Kamayan, so we're talking about
there,
that is
yeah.
Carlo and Mia, whom they met. And
Mhm.
what are the role of Carlo and Mia again specific to the
They are
organization?
our number one board of advisors. As in, we're
Okay.
putting together advisors. So
Mm-hmm.
Mia and Carlo are the first one who said yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and actually, we met with Mia, and then we actually planned the how we're gonna fundraise, because of course we don't have any funds yet,
Mm-hmm.
and so we kind of brainstorm about ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course one of the programs that we are gonna do is to give financial assistance to those in dire need. Of course, there's a policy, there's some requirements,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a limit as to how much, because we're not the bank, in
Yes.
other words. But they are the ones who step up to the plate immediately, and they love the idea, and so we are very, very thankful to them. So
Oh,
they showed up, even if they had an appointment later in the afternoon. They were the
yes.
caterers for I think it was an
Halo
event by
halo
one of the FSAs.
something halo halo.
Yeah, Filipino Student Association. I
Mm-hmm.
think it was either Georgia Tech or
JSU.
GSU. So they
Yes.
from the picnic, they went directly to their other
Another event.
another
But
event.
being the presence of being there,
Yes,
that
it
that
helped a lot.
Mhm.
Then the continuation to the story is that my physical therapist that I met a few days before the launch, I invited him because he's Filipino.
Mhm.
So when he arrived there, met this couple as well, and he realized Uber is expensive. So he drove the family back to their place.
Mm.
Isn't, I mean, it kind of, I had like goosebumps when I heard this story. It's like, oh my God,
Mm.
positive things happening from just one meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I,
if you want to go back to the photograph with Susie,
okay. Here. Yeah.
Okay, Susie
Mm-hmm.
Broderick is an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
She is one of the top donors for that event. She
Mm-hmm.
gave the highest amount to help us with food and prices and everything. And I'm also talking, and she already said yes, because with us giving access to legal advice and legal help, we are forming a team of lawyers. And
Mm.
I've started talking to a few, and Susie actually agreed to help us.
Awesome. Awesome. So
Yes.
there are community or existing community organizations that are offering their technical help pro bono,
Hmm.
in some of these core areas. So these are again, Miss, this one is Miss Pia, how to handle your finances successfully. She's
Yes.
also a film community leader and a businesswoman. So it's like, oh, how do we call that?
This was during the FLAN, which is Filipino Leaders Alumni Network. These are the FSA graduates who came together to
Mhm,
form a nonprofit for Filipino young leaders. So
mhm.
this is one of their oh, this is
Events.
the event for graduates. So
Uh-huh.
we were there and we had table, and the 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 thing that they're holding is that it's one of our the things that we had on our table. We're
Uh-huh.
asking the alumni or the adults to write their advice to these graduates. And so
Uh,
we thought that those two advice from them were really outstanding, because Pia said you have
mhm,
to learn how to to be successful in your finances.
mhm. Yep. So I'm going over some of these the photos right here, and then there is this one that also like gotten into my attention. This one with the Miss Menchu,
Hmm.
Prado Lim, and she's an educator. And then you attended their event, and this is specific for the teachers. And a whole lot of Filipinos are here in the USA on work visa, specific work visa, who are educators. And I think a bulk of the attendance of this event were also like coming from that network, and the supporters is coming from that network of professionals.
Right, right. So before this picnic, actually a few weeks before that, I got a call from Menchu, and she, because you referred her to me,
Yes.
but she already knew me prior to that,
Mm-hmm.
because she wanted to put together a teachers organization in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So she called me because she said, well, I just said I should call you because you're, putting together the OFW. And I said, yes, and then she told me that she wanted to put together a teachers organization. And I said, that's wonderful, because you do need to have, you know common group, common things. They have to have their support, community support. But I said, I also want you to, or encourage you to join OFW, because, I mean, even if you are together as teachers, there's also common problems and common solutions for the bigger community who are overseas workers. So I went, and she asked for my help to put it together. So I went to their initial meeting with her core group, and I'm gonna continue to help them. And so I invited them to come over. Actually, what happened is that they came over the day before, made a mistake, and they thought it was Saturday. This was Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so bad for them because they drove all the way, and then but she came back the following day. I was afraid she wasn't gonna come back because she was already there the day before.
But this is really like a great gathering. And I think during this is the one that you said maybe in the flan,
Hmm.
that's the flan event. This is also Tiffany in the middle.
Tiffany
It,
Garnasa, yeah. And
so
see,
he's
that's
mhm,
an example of another very positive response, because people who are not really communicating with me before have like kind of sent messages that they believe in this organization, they believe that this is a good cause, and
mhm,
then was offering to collaborate, like any way we can help.
mhm,
So, and Tiffany was one of them because of the her work in the um, with lawyers, with labor laws and stuff like that.
And immigrant rights to vote, especially
Mm-hmm,
she's very active with engaging people to, get registered
mm-hmm.
and vote, and all of this democracy related. So that is our, like, photos with them. This is Michelle, also a Phil-Am and a community activist, attorney Susie Roderick, and there's just so many faces. And actually, these are my friends. He's the husband of Miss Sarita Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
So he's representing on her behalf because she cannot make it. But these are my friends, Ate Virgie, Miss Dolores. Uh, they've been longtime friends of mine, and I know that they also work, especially around Buckhead area. And I was very surprised that they were there. We haven't met for so long. Usually, before we go out for picnics, we go out for events when Emmanuel and Hannah were very, very toddler. So they know my kids. And now there's like, we're very surprised. But I'm very happy because I saw them there. And, sometimes they are underrepresented or not engaged. And these are the kinds of Filipino Americans that I wanted to see in some other mainstream events that we do. In the film community, and I think they won a whole lot of prizes, right?
Yeah, yeah, they did. Actually, Dolores won the T42 at St. Regis Hotel, which is a five-star
Yeah.
hotel, and that was donated by Chef Annabella. The other
Oh,
thing that was told to me after that event is that these are not the common people that we see in the mainstream organizations like Philem or
yes.
any other organization. They said 80%, which is true, 80% of those people who attended this gathering, you have not seen
Mm,
anywhere. Of course,
yeah.
us, about 10% of us who always see each other were there, but then 80% is like all new faces. And
All
it was a
new.
delight for folks. And then when it was posted on social media, I got a call from Grace, our friend Grace Rajab.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh my God, I should have been there because all of them, most of them are my friends that I haven't seen for years."
Yes. Yes.
So,
These are common friends of ours, the Miss Grace, because they work around Baka. So with respect to, you said you're pulling up a team together, right? And I think one of your great supporter is attorney Christian Chan,
mhm,
right? Um, and then his son is Phil Am, Phil
uh-huh,
Am, Phil Amrin. So this is a good guy. Mr. Lee Wong is Malaysian.
mhm.
There's a great support because of the uniqueness, I think, of the specific organization that you have. And this is like a great session right here. I know Mr. Lee Wong don't want to post in the camera, but I got him in anyways because it's important, for people who are not usually being seen, but they play a pivotal role behind the
Mhm.
scenes, even
Yes, and the
sharing
thing
their
is,
thoughts.
I
Yeah.
mean, the other Asian nations also have workers here, whether
Oh,
but they're not really labeled as, lanis or household workers or whatever, but they do have workers. They do have folks who come in here with working visas. So when we say global and without borders, it doesn't mean that we're just doing the work for Philippines. Initially, yes, because we haven't really taken off yet and on air. We're just kind of taking off right now. But if and when the thing is, if and when we won't just be exclusive, we are going to be helping anybody who needs help. And the other thing too is that when I posted the launch, I got all kinds of calls and messages
mhm,
saying, "Can we set this up in California? Can we do this in Virginia?" Excuse
uh-huh.
me. So it's like, yeah, I'm willing to help, but let us take off first in Georgia.
In
And then
Georgia.
because there's just three of us, and during the picnic, we were able to get two more board members, and we're
Mm,
trying to fill out the others first. And then we are also trying to get the members to sign up as members.
mm,
Then, of course, we have to find a way to fundraise. Of course, we're going to
mm,
look for some grants and we're going to do some fundraising. We're going to look for sponsors. But, you know, we will need a big amount of money because we are going to be we want to be sustained. We want to be here for a long time. We want to be able to help when people need help. And the reason I say that is because, and this leads to the credibility, and we are very pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
We got a letter from a government entity. It was
Mm-hmm.
just 2 days ago, saying that they needed help. They're helping a 75-year-old Filipino. His I think this is a woman. Her son lost his job, so they're asking for financial support from us. And so at this time, we don't have any funds because we're just starting. The first fundraising was the picnic, and it hardly really covered the expenses of the venue and the food and prices and everything. Although a lot of it were donated, the food was donated by food vendors.
Mm-hmm.
So the way we responded to that is we were very honest that right now we are using our own personal funds uh, in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we also said we're not going to say no, we're going to try to help, but we need to know what exactly does she need, because if
Mm-hmm.
she's qualified for supplemental security income SSI, then we will help with the process. Or if she's eligible for SNAP, or if she's eligible for Medicaid, stuff like that. So we were asking for the contact information so that we know more of what the person needs. And then what about the son who lost his job? Things like that. But the thing is that we kind of got worried, like, oh my God, they're already asking for help. But also, it's an indication that they believe in us, that we are credible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good sign. So in the meantime, we will do what we can to help. But the goal is to raise enough money so that when these things happen, boom, we just fill up the paperwork, see if the requirement is met, and then we help. That's
Yeah.
our goal. That's our
Yeah.
immediate goal.
It has to there's so much that needs to still be institutionalized and also become part of the policy,
Mm-hmm.
so that whoever is going to be in position in the leadership later on, they already have that baseline information, because
Right.
you cannot be the superwoman and
Mm-mm.
superman for everyone. We have to be very realistic that when there's a need, it would also require resource.
Mm-hmm.
So for whatever goal that is, it will require resource. So yeah, this
Yeah.
is one of those like fun photos that we had on the launch, and then so
And
many
see,
like
a lot of these folks too were like, they had a prior meeting, Family Fun Day. A lot of the folks who came in
yeah,
are part of that committee, but they showed up. They
yeah.
showed up even it was already like towards the end. A lot of them
Uh-huh.
showed up.
And this
So
guy
there's
was
my
so
there's my my physical therapist.
this is your
That's
physical
right.
therapist.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, he bought a whole lot of ticket and won a
Yeah.
whole lot too. Yeah, so
He
it
bought
was a
30
fun,
tickets.
yeah, it was fun. It was a very much a fun gathering as I am seeing it right now, Miss Jane. So I know that it is still an initial stage, and I think it would be great to really because it will your organization can also be driven by members, and that means knowing who are the other Filipino Americans that are actually technically under this specific description.
Mhm.
And then there's a lot of I am very positive of lots of opportunities, especially when programs are in place, and especially when it is much clearer, so that when you find an opportunity for a grant, they will look at the background of the organization, the track record of the organization. I think maybe as an organization, it is a good start, but individually between you, Miss Christelle, Miss Sarita, and so many other engaged people, so they're doing something to help a fellow OFW. It's not just under an umbrella of a specific
Right,
organization.
right. So we do have, let me mention a few of our programs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first one is education, and we are planning to do financial literacy workshops, legal and workers' rights education,
Mm-hmm.
newcomers on board seminars, health education events. Those are on the education portion. The advocacy
Professional
part,
development training.
yes, yes, for the management. Then
Yeah.
then we have the advocacy, which is community partnerships, marketing support, referral to legal, social, and community services. And with the community partnerships, I want to mention that AAJ, we're going to be working with them, as well as, by the way, the embassy has a department which is called, I think, Immigration Workers Commission, I think, or over something, but they're not an over. They don't call themselves Overseas Filipino
There's a
Workers
specific
Commission.
department. One of my friends is highly engaged with that, and I can connect you both. And
So I mean,
Limbayan
I think
also
it's
know her.
immigration. Yes, Miss
Yes.
Simbayan.
Miss
Then
Limbayan also know her.
so they were talking about, they have a monthly seminar, and so I was asked to connect with them so that I can gather the OFWs here and we can listen, or we can like kind of have that monthly
Yeah,
webinars.
because
Number
they need
two.
to the things that they need to be updated by both laws, the laws of the country of origin, because technically they are non-immigrant status,
Mhm,
and the laws here in the
mhm.
USA that governs them because
The
simply
labor law.
because they are here. So for both of these laws and the complexities and all of these changes that is happening, it is very important that you have to be in the know somehow.
Mhm.
And
So
yeah, that's a great connectivity
yeah, that's
because
one. And the other thing too is that we have a position that's called ambassador. It's like
mm,
onboarding of the newcomers here. Because
mm,
like when you arrived in this country and you don't have any connection, you feel isolated, you don't really know what to do. So the
yes.
ambassador program is that we are going to teach them, things like, okay, where are you going to get your driver's license? What do you need to know before you do that? What, paperwork do you need to do? Where's the bank? What do you need? Stuff, the everyday stuff that the
Practical,
yeah, that
prac
before you leave the Philippines, nobody has told you what was it.
yes, yes. So
So
raising awareness on these practical steps and even stating the obvious,
mhm,
because sometimes you think that it is so obvious that it's just easy to do, but
mhm,
you did not pay attention to the details, especially the requirements
mhm.
on what needs to be done. Well, I'm very excited, Miss Jane, because I think there's a point of your, from just trying to survive to really being stable and, and then respected in your specific profession and or calling.
Exactly. So I was asked before the gathering when we were starting to market it,
Mhm.
and they said this is a very good cause, but the problem is, will they show up? So,
Mm.
and my thing is that we just have to we just have to hope. We just have
Mhm.
to let them know that we are here, because the different groups have different reasons why they don't want to be in the mainstream. Like
Yeah.
Christelle has a group of friends who are all OFWs, and every time she asks them to come out and join whatever, they say no, hindi na lang, because we feel like we don't belong.
Mm.
And I intend to change that. I want them to come out like how they did at the launch picnic,
Yeah.
because the isolation is a killer. I,
It's also because like there's also like a divide. Oh, because I am not, no, I am not a nurse, I am not
mhm,
like this, there's like this social divide, an
mhm,
unspoken one, but and I think it's part of the culture as well, and
right.
then people are looking down based on what profession that you have, because some people have a mindset that they're better off than you are
Mhm,
because of their position and because of what they do in the community, and that should not be the basis of
right.
your engagement in the community. So you have to really break these unspoken
Ah,
walls
yes, yeah.
and biases and borders. So you are, in part, you are really building a specific future of advocacy for overseas Filipino workers, and then you have to be proud and embrace it. And I think to have a specific celebration, for example, for the professional household helpers, just like in Hong Kong, they have a
Mhm,
specific like day where they really like gather and everything. And it's like that, and they're being celebrated, and they're doing activities and events on their own. I hope that would be something. And with the change in our leadership structure in the PhilAm community, right now we technically don't have a honorary consul general and or a consul general. We hope that my personal hope is that whoever is that person going to be, that your foundation is going to be working hand in hand with the Philippine Honorary Consulate and or the consulate office here in Atlanta, so that it could really like take off, because it's a win-win for immigrants that are already here in the USA. They don't have much problems with respect to immigration, especially if
Mhm.
you are here legally. But for overseas Filipino workers, there's more vulnerability because of the changing laws with immigration and everything. This needs a lot of collaboration with the Philippine government and the
Right.
Philippine agency and or their representatives. So I just wanted to really commend you, Miss Jane, for having the insight of this organization is established, but you also wanted to sustain it beyond the survival to become stable. And
Mhm.
then it will have a distinctive name, that it is not a charitable organization only, but really an empowering organization where everyone has the ability to leverage their knowledge and their skills and achieve what they aspire in life,
It's true.
transition in
Pri-
life.
I just forgot to mention something. Prior to this, about 2 years ago,
Mhm.
I met this lady who is a partner of one of the Philippine Chambers presidents in Virginia.
Mhm.
So I interviewed her in my podcast. She she is the owner of Alir Care Solutions. So what they do is they hire nurses from the Philippines directly, and they get them employed directly at the hospitals, which kind of takes out the middleman. And
Mhm.
the difference is that they don't charge like the agency fee, and that helps a lot. And because it's the hospital who pays the agency. Now they asked me then to kind of help them out, so I connected them with a lot of the nurses here in the hospitals, and they're working together now. But they have a program of, and that's what they ask us to provide them as well. Like, what they needed is for somebody to tell, or the information to tell these newly hired nurses of where the churches are, the grocery stores are, where to live and stuff like that. That's the same exact thing that we are going to do in our ambassador program,
Mhm.
because we already have done it for the nurses for Alir Care Solutions. Now we're doing it in Georgia.
It's amazing. And then, there are so many Filipinos, I think, that would step up because this is something that they can do. And then you as a Phil-Am community leader, I think your role is very pivotal because you are already known in the community. You know the Phil-Am community leaders that you need to be tapping into. You know what are the available organization that can be reached out and bridged, because they cannot be only a member maybe of the foundation, because it's very specific, but there are other groups and organizations where they can also find themselves comfortable in joining and also in supporting. So that is really like a noble cause. So you and the team, you have already have something like a 5-year strategic plan and or 10-year strategic
But
plan.
not yet. 3 to 5 years, because we just, like I said, there's just three of us right now. Actually, we have added Judel for as the membership
Mm,
director, and then I believe Isabel is our PR person, and then
mhm,
because Crystal is also doing, aside from being the secretary, she's also doing our website.
mhm.
And then there's still a lot of positions that we need to fill up. So, but then we are doing the debriefing um, tomorrow night, actually.
Yeah.
Then from there, we are gonna start plotting the dates as to when the next programs are gonna be, because we have to sustain it. We have to do something every month,
Mm,
because to keep the interest.
uh-huh.
And see, the thing is, what I want them to think is, what's in it for me? Why
Mhm.
should I join this? I want them to see the benefits of joining OFWGA.
Yeah.
Not just for us founders. It's not about us. I don't care whether my name is there or not. As long as the goal is achieved, I'm fine with
Mhm.
it.
So, Miss
So
Jane, one question that I'm gonna get your final thoughts. If you could change one thing in the global OFW experience today, what would it be and why? O para kang nasa pageant, di ba?
now, that's brain drain. So I've heard that term when I was in high school,
Mhm.
and even in college. I would rather that all these skilled, bright, you know, extraordinary Filipinos use their skills at home,
Yeah.
back home, that we didn't need to leave the Philippines to go for a greener pasture.
Mm.
That's the bottom line. And then we would be able to help the Philippines, sana. But then it's
Mhm.
not an ideal world. If it's an ideal
Mhm.
world, we wouldn't have left, and then life would be nice, sana. Pero
Mhm.
under the economic situation for many years, for decades now, we
Mhm.
had to leave, or a lot of
Mhm.
us had to leave. So that would be something I would change if I had the power, but I don't. So
Magic wand and everything. Yeah.
we do what we can with what we have.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh. Well, on behalf of ACT International Consulting LLC, I've already expressed to you my heartfelt interest as a pro bono consultant, especially on common thing that we do and help in the community, and that is professional skills development and advancement through either trainings and engaging the community, ushering in job opportunities that we know of. You know, we are also members of other organizations, and we have job postings here and there that might be beneficial for the job board of the community, and a whole lot of they have an internal communication among the specific professions actually, that
mhm,
they help each other out, and it is very strong. Not
mhm,
that they are being posted in social media, but these are interpersonal relationship that they look after each other. That's
mhm,
why there's like a core group and subgroup of doing things, because they have to be bonding each other to kind of like survive, and also to mutually support each other because they have that commonality. And for me, that's why I'm very thankful to be there during the launching, because I am seeing the future of, let's always get out of our comfort zone. And there
mhm,
are so many members in our community maybe that were not seen, that were not heard, and or they were not engaged. And why? So you, Miss Jane, you, Miss Christelle, you, Miss Sarita, have bridged that gap. So any thoughts, Miss
just
Jane?
it's it's just a need. Like I said, think of something, and if it's gonna help somebody, I'm gonna do it. Nothing can stop me. At least I'm gonna try, to help. Because again, like what I said last year during the Kalayaan, that I owe this community.
Mhm. Oh, speaking of that, you are the last honorary consul general awardee in the state of Georgia under the term of Philippine Honorary Consul General Donato. So speaking of that, what was his thoughts about this organization?
We haven't spoken about it.
He did not know?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Because he was out of town.
Mm,
He was out of town, and then we were talking about the embassy at one time, and we haven't
mm,
spoken yet. Ever since he arrived, so we might talk about it on. I think I texted it to him,
ah,
and then
mhm,
he just told me about the names of those folks that were probably thrown into the embassy,
mhm.
basket for the next honorary. So, but then he did not even comment on when I said, hey, I launched the W
He might not
Foundation.
have the comprehension of what is this again, Jane? Because he knew that you're wearing so many hats, and Consul is like, I'm letting go, I'm letting go. You're taking in, you're taking in.
I'm sure that
Well,
he's gonna ask. Oh, if he doesn't forget, he. we'll probably talk about it on Friday when we see
Yeah,
him on
when we see
Friday.
him. Yeah. But Miss
So,
Jane, I'm very hopeful. I'm very excited. And I think, you have a friend right here and also like a fellow community advocate for empowerment that will be of help in any ways we can. And that will be on the professional side of the development and networking. We are part of various global organizations. And sometimes, people just because they did not know and
mhm.
they did not engage. So now we're gonna take the bridging of being in the know, knowing and then the knowing that you can participate, knowing that you can be involved, knowing that you don't need to have a role in the community to be able to take action and or do leadership. And you
Not
don't
like
need to be,
Christelle.
yeah.
Christelle was like she reached out, and
Mm,
people don't know that she's got a lot of skills, and that girl is powerful with in her mind.
mm,
She and she doesn't hold a position right. I mean, prior to OFW, but she I see her as rising leader. She's one of the young leaders who is very strong both in her mind and in her passion and her dedication. So you'll see her rise up.
You see, when we saw each other, we could just like click. You don't even have to talk a whole lot to be able to understand each other well, because you came from the same background of an academic institution that has planted in you what it means to serve others
Hmm.
and what it means to serve others beyond borders.
Hmm.
That's why in our UP naming mahal, one of the lines is malay, malayo man ang mararating. It's like, it's you will never forget where you come from.
Hmm. That's why when
So,
she told me I'm from UPLB, I was just like jumping up and I need to introduce you to Arjo.
I would not be surprised. And look, Miss Jane, in our Philam community who are from UP, they have taken a whole lot of leadership. Miss Didi, Miss
Hmm.
Eleanor May, Dr. Zusi, de Guzman. There are a whole lot of the medical people who are actually having some University of the Philippines background. So serving others and serving the community is just part of our bloodline, as that is our kind of like commonality, and not being afraid to speak our minds and to speak on behalf of others as we are allowed to, and being able to organize and engage others despite some differences, but you can still engage others and pursue a common cause. So I'm very excited for what's going to come for this group and the foundation. And as always, I have committed, if I'm able to come in your event, put me to work. I am your slave. As I said, I'm always going to be the aliping sa gigilid. I don't need, it's just that I could not commit the time right now because as you see, you personally know my schedule, my priorities and stuff. But I can be of help in simple ways that I can and squeeze in. And I'm very happy and proud that I was there. And there will be like lots of future engagement to help amplify your voice. So this particular interview is really to help amplify and advocate for what this new organization is all about. This is 2026. There's so many more, and this will grow. And I'm thankful for the seed that you have planted it. I know you wanted to have a foundation, but we always did a brainstorming, Miss Jane. Don't be too broad. Don't be too encompassing, because it's hard to it's hard to measure what you wanted to really achieve. But this specific organization, it stands out because it does not duplicate anyone's pre-existing organization and or group. And actually, it can complement and can help those who are already existing. It's just that there's a specific of this specific need that this foundation addresses that the other organization is not able to address. Number one, because of the type of the organization that they are establishing or have they established, which is not capable to extend services beyond what is in the bylaws of that particular organization. So for this as a foundation, their bylaws is also very, very specific. Programs are going to be very, very specific. But there's a whole lot of future with respect to accessing funds from the state and or the federal government that qualifies for such specific help. And not only in the US, and I think Philippines also,
Hmm,
you know,
that's good to
Philippines
know.
also because there's this Miss Agnes Ali. She's part of the Overseas Filipino Workers Department and or commission under the Office of the President. And once you start doing advocacy and linking, once you start doing those trainings that you envision to plan, and you can invite speakers because you are a podcaster, you are also a public speaker, you're a professional coach. So all of your skills are going to be put into one, and you serve. It's a win-win situation for all. Your professional coaching, your mentoring, your public speaking, your community engagement. It's
Project
a
management.
win-win. Yeah, project management, program management. It's really like a win-win situation for you. And I would be happy to connect for those that I know that we can be connected with. And we know that we can also tap local leadership specific for this one. But this is highly immigration related, labor related,
Mhm.
these are the kinds and or events and activities that makes it unique beyond being social and or cultural.
Right. Well, I did tell them that we are not a three-piece organization. Oh, when I was talking to somebody from the embassy, I believe,
Yeah.
and I said we are not a three-piece organization. I said, so what is that? We're not an organization of pageants, parades, or parties. I started to laugh.
Yeah.
I said, I have nothing against parties except that our focus should be prioritizing our members.
Uh-huh.
So,
Well, so and Miss Jane, what would be your final words to your team, to your supporters, to the founding members? It's very important, just like any organization. When you are part of the foundational stage of any organization, your name is always going to be there. So you are part of the founding leadership. There, you're the founding chair. Technically, this is a brainchild of yours that you just engage like-minded people. So what is your message to your fellow foundation members and your board, your supporters and members?
I'm very, very thankful that people, there are some people who thought the same way
Mm-hmm.
that I did, that has the same compassion and dedication for the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Not about, this is not about the title or whatever, because it's going to be hard work and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be an uphill work. I'm not going to say battle. It might be some battle somewhere, but it's going to be uphill. It's not going to get easier. It will
Mm-hmm.
probably get easier when we have reached the point that there's money, that we're familiar with the laws, that we're familiar with, the ever changing, um, ever changing climate of
Mm-hmm.
laws and labor laws and immigration and all that. But it will get easier. So I encourage everybody who has joined us, our supporters, our board, our members, to just hang in there because we're gonna get to the top. We are not quitters, although
Yeah.
of course the challenge is to get started, to really get firm, to really get strong with regards to programs, as well as responding to needs and finances. Those are
Mm-hmm.
our main challenges right now. We can get through plotting the programs, we can get the calendar of events, all that. It's easy, but it's the funding that we're gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
work hard. And then people are not gonna fund you unless they see what's in it for them. So that's
Yes.
what we're gonna work on.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that is like we are an hour almost to our interview. Maraming salamat again, Miss Jane. And I know that this will not be our first. I will also try to do a separate session with Miss Serita and Miss Christelle because they have their own respective stories to share beyond the organization. You know, this can be one of the topics, but as I am trying to, explore more and document stories, because this is also part of our fam, right? So
Right, right.
this is also part of our family. I am a Filipino American community leader that does my contribution in ways that I can, and I'm trying to line up all of these Philam community leaders and trying to balance my also focus of my mentoring for the ones in the Philippines. But this is our story. This is part of our life. This is part of our existence. For whoever is going to view it on Facebook, for whoever is going to view it on YouTube in the future, even beyond our lifetime, may you be inspired that in everything that you do, there were people who make it happen. In everything that you see, they just don't appear in magic. They were being worked out by somebody to make it happen, and for us to always strive to do better and to always be represented. And with that one, I'm thankful for being part again of the leadership speaker series, although this discussion is very focused for an organization that is both close to our hearts, and I'm just so appreciative that you took on the challenge of making it happen. Kudos,
Well,
Miss Jane.
thank you. Thank you so much for your support, for ending support. And I am so thankful for our friendship as well. Thank you for having me
Yes,
again.
Miss Jane. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.